This episode is brought to you by Jing's Mortgage Team. Jing's Mortgage Team is a team of real estate mortgage professionals whose mission is to help anyone with their real estate needs. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, refinance your home, have credit issues, or in need of an investment loan, we can definitely help you. If you're looking for a real estate agent, we know the best of the best real estate agents. Visit the link below for more information. Nick Muratore, I am so excited and honored for you to be on this week's episode of Secret Sauce with Hamilton Lau. For those of you who don't know, I was just gonna say Tristian. I'm so sorry. I'm super ecstatic right now. I'm fanboying right now. So for those of you that don't know, Nick Muratore is a pro wrestler, and just everybody that has been on Secret Sauce with Hamilton Lau has always been people that follow their dreams, be real to themselves. And to me, it's like there is nobody that's more pinnacle than that ideology than somebody that is pursuing their dream of being a pro wrestler. And not just pursuing, but living their dream of being a pro wrestler. So again, super, super happy and excited to have Nick on. Nick, thank you so much again for coming.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to tell you my story, talk about pro wrestling.
Yeah.
The direction we want to take it.
Awesome. Wrestling, I feel, even though it's so big now, I feel like wrestling is still underrated in so many ways because just the physicality involved behind it, the dedication, the focus, the production value, it's beyond just the average Joe watching it on TV and saying, yeah, it's fake. There's so much to it. But Nick, I'd love to get I'd love for you to talk about yourself a little bit. How'd you get into pro wrestling? Please.
Oh, well, that's a really fun story. So it started off, I was 19 and I hated wrestling. I just didn't understand it, and my friends loved it, and they begged me to watch it, and I was like, well, why would I watch this? It's fake, it's garbage, not interested. And then, they forced me to sit down and watch the 2021 Royal Rumble. And I gotta say, ever since then, I've been in love. And I think it was a month after that, it was Fastlane of 2021. And I was watching it, and I thought, wow, I think I can do this myself. I think I can be a wrestler. And it took a whole nother year of preparation till then. So what ended up actually happening was I started training and getting in physical shape. It took...
Before anything... You just started getting into shape?
Yeah, because, well, first off, I didn't have the money to start. So I decided, okay, this is a good time to get into physical shape required, because wrestling is like no other sport when it comes to how demanding it is and how much strength and endurance it really costs.
Which I'm sure you came to that realization when you watched that 2021.
No. I thought I was going to walk in there and do it. No. But thankfully, I had a friend who went to Creative Pro Wrestling, and he told me just how much it requires. And I ended up getting ready. And in January of 2022, I got sick with COVID, and that completely threw me off. But when I started feeling better, that's when I was in the gym 5 days a week, and I started preparing. And then May of that year, that's when I started at Creative Pro. So it's roughly been over a year at this point that I've been training, and that I've had the amazing opportunity to work with, Brian Myers and Pat Buck, two of the most incredible wrestling minds in the industry.
Wow. So what was it about that 2021 match that you watched that, just imagining like a regular person, I'm just sitting down with my buddies, I'm watching this match, and suddenly it clicked to me, like, I gotta do it. What was it about that match?
So it was Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, and I remember just how incredibly athletic the match was. And it wasn't just about, oh, throwing him off and he takes a bump there. No, they were exercising holds. Like, it looked like real wrestling. It looked like they were hurting each other. It looked like a fight. And, honestly, it just connected with me. I was like, I want to try this. Because, in high school, I never did combat sports, but all of a sudden when I got older, I fell in love with it. Completely head over heels in love with wrestling.
Wow. And it was like, I'm sure the greatest matches that I can imagine and think about always have a drama and a story that is evolved during the course of the match. And it's like, when I say drama and story, I'm not talking about verbal, obviously, because you're watching two people physically go at it. But it's just the fact that they use their physical bodies, right? To create this drama and story, So in your case, like something like that was what you saw.
Well, yeah, honestly, I really loved the way that they told stories. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
New Japan wrestling, Japanese wrestling, if anybody's heard about that, it's very brutal. They are,
Really? Why?
they're really beating the crap out of each other.
Oh, they're really hitting each other.
Yeah, they're hitting each other.
Industry secret, I guess.
Industry secret. That is some brutal stuff.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. So most of those matches, at least for Americans, we can't understand what they're talking about.
Okay.
However, we can see it through the wrestling. So there will be a point in the match where they'll be striking and they'll be hitting each other. And most people will say, well, he just took 6 punches in the face. Why is he still standing? It's not about that. The point is that they're fighting each other and they're trying to see who's tougher. And eventually somebody's going to fall down. Somebody will take advantage of the situation right afterwards. It's about the physicality of it. Who is the better warrior in that sense?
Wow. That's, it's fascinating because different cultures have their own versions of pro wrestling as well. I know Mexico, like with the lucha.
Mexico
Libres,
has lucha.
It's amazing, right? And then, in Japan, I know it's closely tied, pro wrestling in Japan is closely tied to mixed martial arts, right? It's
Yes.
like, there's this sense of, different cultures have their own way of showing this physicality, this drama. It just fascinates me because you get like Mexico with the lucha libres. They're so colorful with their outfits, and the way they tell their story is drastically different from Japan, right? And of course in America.
America and even the United Kingdom, they'll be focused more on grappling and more about holds and trying to see who is going to tap out first.
Right.
It's an amazing sport that all around the world has different flavors. And the best thing about American wrestling is that you can take all of it and combine it into one.
Yes. So with the physicality, you had mentioned your friend had told you who's involved in the industry.
Not anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, okay,
He
okay.
suffered an injury and he's no longer able to wrestle.
Jeez. And it's tough because it's like, this is a reality of pro wrestling, right?
Yeah, this is definitely a reality. I can't tell you how many times I've rolled my ankle or even hit my head or even sprained something. It's a part of it. Unfortunately, when we step in that ring, we go under the assertion that it's possible that we won't be stepping out. A broken neck can happen from anything. You have to remember, we're not falling on a mattress. We're falling on wood that is below half an inch of mat. It's not a lot of protection. That's why we need to be so skilled and so determined, and that's why we need to know what we're doing. It's really important to have good training, because if you do this incorrectly, you will get hurt. Right. And you will not be able to shake it off. It's not something where you could just ice it and it'll go away.
Yes. For those of you, well, in my generation, this happened a lot. Backyard wrestling, where people were just like at the playground, like, we're not endorsing that, right? Please train.
Please train.
Please train. Like, you can get seriously injured, right? But yeah, so your friend at the time, had explained all the physicality that's behind it, and you're like, wow, I need to get into this.
I need to get into better shape.
Yeah. So tell us about that. What was that process like? And
well, so I was not in bad shape by any means, but I was not strong in the sense of I couldn't run 20 minutes and then lift right after. That's actually the best way to get ready for wrestling training.
really?
It's all about quick endurance training. So the way that I prepared was I would do sprints on I can't think
Elliptical? Oh, not elliptical.
Elliptical.
What is
A
it?
treadmill.
Treadmill.
Treadmill. I would have a mode on there where every 20 seconds it would make you sprint for 10 seconds. And then it would stop and then start again, stop and then start again. And then after that, I would do very heavy weight training. That's how I got into the ability to move with explosive power, because the thing about wrestling is that you need to be explosive with your movement or else it looks fake. It's the truth. You know, what we do is not fake, but we can make it look fake if we don't do it correctly. And the best way I could say it is that if you're interested in getting into wrestling training, endurance training is the best thing to do. You know, jump rope, have good cardio. You'd be surprised how many people show up to wrestling school completely out of shape. They can't run for more than a minute or even jog. It's kind of scary. You want to body slam people and throw people and do all these crazy moves, but you can't even run.
Yeah.
That's really, the physicality is important, and I take that very seriously. That's why even, you know, now, as somebody who's been in this for a year, I still train 5 days a week. It's a requirement. You know, what we do, like I said, is very dangerous, and the more that we're trained, the more stronger that we are, the easier it is to pull off these dangerous moves.
And make it look realistic within the
Exactly.
Because I'm sure, you know, us regular schmoes, right, can imagine when you're tired, you're not as coordinated, and you know, and if it's not coordinated, it's not looking, the technique isn't looking right.
It's also not safe.
Exactly. Oh yes, that's another big thing, right?
Yeah, that's why that was a big hurdle for me in my training. In the beginning of my matches, I was very good at staying in shapes, keeping my breathing low so that I could remain not, we call it blown up. That's what, when you're panting and when you're
gassed out.
You're gassed out. At the very end of a match usually, and that's where the most impressive stuff happens, you're probably gassed out by then. That was a big problem for me. When you're gassed out, it's very hard to do things safely. That's why you need to train for it and you need to be ready.
I never thought about that. Wow.
That's where it gets difficult, and that's usually where people get hurt.
And maybe that's, would you say, secret sauce alert, would you say that maybe what gets the superstars, the Rocks, the Stone Colds, the Triple H's, would you say that what gets them to that superstardom is the ability to maintain, I mean, even though you can visually see sometimes that they're tired, but their ability to maintain that high level of endurance to pull off the spectacular finishing move at the end? Because when they hit that rock bottom, it's like the entire arena takes a picture.
The arena should be losing their mind.
Yeah.
And that's why, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of superstars that can maintain that and maintain the safety towards the end of the match. Yeah. The thing is that, especially on the indie scene, that's not really the case. So are you aware of what indie wrestling is, more or less?
Like the independent circuit?
It's the independent circuit. So that's where a lot of us have to get started because we don't have the ability to start on NXT or even AEW's Ring of Honor. A lot of people are starting on that, and sometimes people are not correctly trained. And they'll try doing something like, a 450 off the top rope, and since they're so gassed, they won't do it correctly and they'll hurt themselves.
450 being like a backflip, twirl, landing on top of...
2 flips on top of a person.
Holy moly. Oh my goodness. This is just, like, again, as I was mentioning earlier in the episode, this is just a mind-blowing world that I wish more people knew about. The sacrifice, the level of sacrifice and dedication that pro wrestlers have to undergo. Me on my end, I want to say, I have a little bit of background in boxing. I did a little bit of judo, and the sport focuses specifically on, let's say, for example, boxing, right? Speed and endurance, that's it. We're not looking at heavy lifting, right? We're just focusing on maintaining, not even power punches, but just making sure that you have proper technique, So all we're doing is just anaerobic exercises to keep our endurance, right? And then you have I can imagine power lifters who are like, they're not thinking about anaerobic exercises for endurance. They're just thinking about looking for gains and getting big and being able to lift heavy things, right?
Picking their stuff up.
But it's like, from what you're telling me, in some, it's like you have to kind of
All of it.
merge both of this to a complete package. And again, my mind is blowing right now because it's another level.
It's a whole different level of physical dedication.
Because you have to lift up somebody that's 300 pounds potentially.
Exactly.
Right?
Potentially, but also that comes with styles too. There's different styles to wrestling.
Right.
Somebody my size is not going to be lifting up people that are 300 pounds.
Okay.
I'm going to be more hold based. I'm going to attempt to make you tap out.
Submission, right?
Submission based, because that's what I can do at my size. Yeah, I can do some high flying stuff, but I'm not going to go too crazy with that because I think it's more impressive to put somebody in a good looking hold than it is to do an okay 450.
Right.
And that's another thing too. Making sure that you do what you're good at, especially with newer wrestlers. I only do stuff I know that I can do for sure, because I am not going to pull out something on a show unless, first off, it's Ring of Honor. Then maybe, I'll give like some big move that I tried once or twice in practice. But everything I do, I'm going to encourage safety and making sure I do it correctly.
Right.
And that leads into the other part. You were talking about physicality. I think, honestly, the most strenuous part of this is the emotional part that it takes on you. This is hard. This is a very difficult thing to do. Wrestling is, in my opinion, the hardest thing I've ever done, by far. And it really has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. You're putting in 150%. You're lucky if you get 20 back out. That's the thing. It's difficult. You're going to have moments, and I've had matches where, I'll go to the back and I'll be like, wow, that really did not go my way. And I felt like crap. And, I'll be driving home. I'll be white knuckling my steering wheel because I thought I could do better. Even at training. It's another thing. When we train at wrestling training, the point is that you're in front of, at the most, 10 people at a time. And you're in front of people that you know. And when you don't do stuff correctly, it drives you insane. It'll get to you. And that's why, it's just been so difficult. Also, the criticism that you're going to receive. It can be a lot, especially for people that don't have a thick skin. I say for anybody that wants to be a wrestler, you got to develop a thick skin because you're going to get criticism everywhere. It's going to come from promoters. It's going to come from your coaches. It's going to come from random people on the internet. And if you can't handle it, then this is just not for you. It's tough. That's definitely one of the harder parts that I had to embrace because I was more ready for the physicality part of it than I was for the emotional part that it was going to take too. And also the lifestyle. That's the other thing. I have to get used to not seeing my family that much. Because my weekends are all packed with bookings now, and I have to go to the edges of Long Island, to Boston, to Maine, to get opportunities. And it's gotten to the point where I have to make a decision. Do I want to spend that time with my family, or do I want to become a wrestler? And for somebody that doesn't have the best emotional strength, it's going to be very hard to make.
Right. And that's something that's consistent with any wrestler that's...
Absolutely.
Wow.
Anybody on the independent circuit. Yeah.
Even
when you're working for WWE, just because there's 2 nights a week that they have shows, that doesn't mean anything. You're going to be doing live events most of the time. It could be 4 days a week. Imagine that it's all across the country. You're barely going to be home. It's a sacrifice you need to be willing to make. It's a lifestyle you need to embrace, that you're just not going to be home that much.
Wow. My brother Nick, there's so much to cover here and unpack. I have to ask you, on those downs that you have, right, when you're white knuckling it and you're driving home and you're feeling the lowest of the lows, what would you say is, at least for the benefit of our viewers, what would you say helped you move past that? Because I'm sure it's a very, very low, and I'm sure our viewers can relate to a time when they don't perform that they feel that there's
Absolutely.
What would you say to them?
That's definitely why I touched on that subject. So what helps me is the people there.
People at
Creative Pro, the people that you make friends with, the people that you train with. They're going to be there for you, and they'll make you feel better. they're going to help out so much. And if you don't have that kind of a situation, what definitely helped me on the drive home when I was white knuckling from not having a good match was just thinking, okay, this match was bad, but how can I take this as a lesson to make the next one better? Because I guarantee you, you will never make those same mistakes ever again because you learned what they cause. So that definitely helps as well. And then also think about it like this, if you're so new to something, you're gonna kind of suck at it at first. I have no problem telling you that when I first started wrestling, I sucked. I still kind of do, you know. But the thing is that if you can do one thing better each time, that's more than enough, and it should get to you. Listen, the truth is, and that nobody is going to be a more harsh critic than yourself, because I know for a fact that that match that I had that was really bad, nobody thought it was as bad as what I thought. I was just so angry at myself because I thought I could do better. But the truth is everybody was being very nice about it, and they said, listen, mistakes are going to happen. It's really about the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
That's definitely what makes a big difference. And also just realizing that that's not going to only be your one opportunity. You're going to have plenty. You have the opportunity to make that bad experience a good one.
Right.
You got to take the negative from positives. Yeah. And that's, a big thing from Marcus Aurelius. I have read his book. Having one of the worst days of your life can end up being one of the best days of your life because you learn that those negative experiences and you learn how to deal with them. Yeah. That's a big thing with wrestling. But that's also just a big thing in real life because I still go to college too. If I don't do good on a test, I'm pretty angry about it. But then I think, all right, what can I do next time that I learned this time so that this doesn't happen again?
Wow. I think this is, it's so relatable, like across professions, whether it's, people that may be potentially pursuing pro wrestling or even like a person that's in business or whatever, like, learn from your mistakes, right? Like let it burn.
Let it burn.
Appreciate the burn, of the
Absolutely.
sting of,
You're gonna feel it.
of disappointment because that's what's gonna get you.
You're gonna feel
sharper.
the anger and let yourself feel the emotions. Don't hold it in. When you're on your way home from wherever you're going, if you have to, break down or even cry a little bit or even get frustrated to the point where like you smack the steering wheel a little bit, do it. Let go of it and then accept it. If you don't feel it, then it's not going to register with you, and that's where the damage comes.
Yeah, because it's like if you don't care, it's going to show when you
There's
you
a
do it
big
again,
difference.
right?
That's another thing, right? Let's say you have a really bad match, and you're just like, okay, whatever. You walk out. First off, the promoter is going to look at you, and they're going to think, wow, all right, he doesn't care, so I'm never having him back again. And also, you're not doing yourself any favors either, because that's going to get straight back to your coaches. And they're going to say, what, do you just not care? And then you put yourself in a really awkward predicament.
Yeah.
If you have a bad match, don't be afraid to admit you had a bad match. And then the promoter will understand, they'll work with you. It's better that you leave on a good note. Always leave on a positive note. That's the way that I think about everything. Even when it comes to school. Even if my teachers, even if I can't stand them because of some of the grades, thank you so much. I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
Always be grateful for the opportunities that come for you. That's how I got through the tough times in my life. Definitely that we could also brush up on.
Yeah, no, I think I had a prior episode with a nurse that started her career as a nurse right when COVID started.
Oh, wow.
And she actually said that one of the things that helped her get through that tough time was the people that she surrounded herself with at the time. In her case, it was her coworkers and her colleagues, which is kind of similar with you, right? And I wish this is something that's spoken about more, the power behind surrounding yourself with people, like-minded individuals, supportive people, because I feel like I truly wholeheartedly believe in the alchemy of personalities,
100%.
characters, and it's like certain people will bring you down, and it could be for whatever reason. Maybe they have their life a certain way, and they don't like, maybe, I don't know what it is, but they just want to see everybody kind of like them in a way.
Exactly.
And it's
There's
so
a,
important, yeah.
There's an old alchemical teaching that I learned from a brother. And he said that when you meet somebody and you talk to them, you take a little piece of them with you. And they become a part of you in a way. And that's how you form your future personality. Because you ever noticed that when you're talking to somebody, you might pick up a mannerism that you heard them say, or like you might take a piece of their personality. That's why it's important to be as positive as possible and to be such a good role model and to be around people that are good, so that if you're surrounded by people that are good, you're going to be good. I know it sounds crazy.
It's not crazy at all.
But it's an elementary school teaching. If you surround yourself with people that want to be book smart, chances are you're going to want to be book smart. If you surround yourself with people that want to smoke weed all day, chances are you're going to want to smoke weed all day. If you surround yourself with people that love pro wrestling, you're going to love pro wrestling. And that's what I did. That's part of the reason why I stuck with it.
Yes.
Because the people that I met were incredible.
Yeah.
And I would not give it up for anything in the world. They are some of the best friends that I've met just from there.
That's almost like a mic drop moment right there, like, thank you. I think that's definitely very valuable for our viewers to hear. So what are you doing in the gym right now as far as working out? What does your training routine look like?
Well, it starts off, definitely something that we're going to touch on, diet,
Yeah.
but we'll start with this.
Oh, yeah.
It usually starts with very intense cardio.
Okay.
So that's how I get myself warmed up. I'll do really quick sprints, or I'll even go on the Stairmaster. I know people hate the Stairmaster, but it is a requirement if you want to have good cardiovascular health.
Interesting.
So I always start with that, at least 15 minutes of really intense cardio. I get off, take a break, drink some water, and that's when I start my strength training. However, it's not strength training in the usual sense. I do something called hypertrophy, which means I do high sets, high reps, medium amounts of weight. That's how I'm able to get the explosive power that I'm looking for. So I split my workout into about 4 days a week, roughly. So I have a back and arms day. I have a chest and triceps day. I have an entire day dedicated to legs, the worst day of the week. And I have a core and ab workout. And all of that usually takes about an hour, because I'll be honest, I hate being in the gym. I don't like being in the gym more than like an hour and a half. I like to just get in, get out, because we all have things to do. I know that.
Of course.
But definitely the most important part, and this is something I neglected for a long time, you need to have a really good diet. You need to eat correctly, because if you don't, it'll catch up to you. That was something else. And I'm going to shout him out because he's been helping me a lot. Tony Neese at 450 Fit, he gave me a workout plan and a dietary plan that really changed everything. As a wrestler, you need to eat correctly. You can't be eating garbage. You have to eat, stuff that's nutritious and that will benefit you in the long run. You can't really eat McDonald's anymore. You can't have Burger King. You can't have any disgusting fats. My favorite wrestler, Finn Balor.
Okay.
He is shredded, to say the least. I don't know if anybody's ever seen. I'm sure you've probably seen him before.
I'll post a picture of him for our viewers. Yeah.
He has an incredible body. I looked up his workout plan. It's nothing more different than mine. However, the detail is on Sundays, he has a cheat day where he'll eat something that's not as healthy as the other stuff.
Like a burger or something.
Like a burger or something. It's all about, I guess the best way to say it is moderation.
Okay.
And also, stop drinking soda. You gotta drink water from now on. That's another thing. I used to not drink enough water. Turns out I was dehydrated most of the time. Another thing we can touch on too, everybody should be drinking at least 10 glasses of water a day.
Really?
Yeah, most people, in the United States, are actually dehydrated, and they don't even know it.
And that's crazy because when you're dehydrated, you're less focused, you're more quick to be tired, right?
Exactly. You're more quick to be tired, more irritable.
Yeah.
Another thing I learned from wrestling, I was perpetually dehydrated. I drink a lot of water a day now.
And did you feel like a drastic difference?
Oh, there's a difference.
Well, what would you say is the big difference? What was the difference?
I'd say the big difference is focus.
Focus.
You'd be surprised because what happens when you're dehydrated is your brain starts to recede. inside your skull, and it starts to shrink, and there's less allocated to certain things, so your focus might be off.
Wow.
That's also why people get headaches, because they don't drink enough water.
Right.
So that's why, whenever I discuss stuff with anybody that wants to be a pro wrestler, I'm like, all right, first off, what does your diet look like? What does your workout plan look like? And how much are you drinking water?
Yeah. Right. What about the wrestlers that are like pudgy? Like, I don't know if you see that much of them, like the Bam Bam Bigelow.
So I have.
Yokozuna.
The difference is that you can be pudgy but still be very athletic. So another person, you can post a picture of Kevin Owens.
Okay.
He doesn't look that physically fit. I guarantee you he has better cardio than most wrestlers. He can out-wrestle a lot of people. He can put on a 45-minute match and not even be blown up.
It's like a genetic thing then. Like
It's not even a genetic thing. It's all about training.
Okay. He just looked.
I don't know what his diet looks like.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
I know for a fact he's athletic.
Oh, he just trains his butt off.
Yeah, absolutely. He trains incredibly hard, but he's the World Tag Team Champ for WWE right now. There's a reason he's at that level. He has incredible cardio, but it's all about body type too. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on that. There are some pudgy wrestlers. There are a lot of wrestlers that don't exercise, and I have my own thing about that too.
Sure.
I'm not going to name any names or
no problem.
anything.
Yeah.
But I do know, that's a big problem on the indies. Especially, you'll go to your booking, and then you'll see the guy you're wrestling, and then they'll be 400 pounds, and it's like, ugh, all right, what can you do? And then usually it's not going to involve a lot of athletic stuff. You're going to have to be really creative.
Yeah.
So that's another part of it. There are people that are pudgy. It's fine. I don't have a thing against it or anything. It's just, for me personally, I wouldn't go into this business unless you were athletic.
Yeah, I remember watching some YouTube videos of there was this one. Oh, shoot, I'll post a link somewhere. But there was a famous one where it was in Japan, and you had a guy who was very out of shape, and versus I think his name was something Inoki. I think
Antonio Inoki.
I think so. I think it was him. Yes. And I had no idea why they were wrestling. I had no idea. I couldn't understand. I had no idea what was going on. But he was so out of shape, and I don't think he even knew how to wrestle. And he was whacking Antonio for real. And Antonio got pissed and started beating the crap out of him.
Yeah, so that happens sometimes.
You gotta get in shape.
That's another thing. That's actually a great topic we can get into.
Yeah, sure.
So we hit each other. We do.
Right.
We don't hit each other hard enough to
knock somebody
draw
out.
blood or knock anybody out. So what happened in that instance was you had somebody that was untrained go up against somebody who's a master. Antonio Inoki was a master at his trade, at wrestling. And probably what happened was the guy got nervous and he didn't really know what to do and he started hitting him for real. That's a dangerous situation.
Right.
Movies don't really display it, but a punch in the face can be serious. Yeah. You can break a nose, you can break teeth.
You can kill somebody.
You can kill somebody, you can give yourself a concussion. And, you want to work snug, but you never want to work rough. You know what I'm saying? You never want to give somebody a reason to get angry. Because the harder you are and the less that you want to work with me, that's another thing. When I have people that I'll train with, if they're fighting me too much, that does get me frustrated. Because I have to put more energy into just keeping you down when you shouldn't even be like that. Let me work with you. Let's work together, not me having to force you to do stuff.
Right.
That's not wrestling. That's just fighting. And first off, it looks like crap.
Yeah.
It looks awful when you're just fighting me and pushing me off. It's okay, dude, we'll do it my way. And that's where I'll just stretch you until you've calmed down. Yeah, that's definitely something that people need to learn. It's definitely calming down in the ring. I can't pretend like I'm an expert at it. I'm still very new. I still get nervous and I'll still be a little tense sometimes, but there are definitely situations that I've caught myself where I'm all right, I'm going to calm down. But you never want to legitimately hurt somebody. What we do is already dangerous enough as it is. There's already people that think wrestling is fake. And let me tell you what, you're falling for real. You are when you take a bump. You're taking a bump.
Bump meaning like when you fall.
When you fall,
Right.
a standard bump is like you're gonna fall on the top of your back. Every time I see it, the first time somebody takes a bump, knocks the wind out of them completely.
Yeah.
It's rough. That's something that, like, I'd say a lot of people should give a try in a professional wrestling ring when they get a chance, under the correct supervision, of course. Try a bump.
Yeah.
You think it's that fake? Give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I guarantee you it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
What we do is rough. It's real. Wrestling is real. It is real dangerous. It is real entertainment. But the difference is that we know how to do it safely.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm very against backyarding.
Yeah.
Like, I've known people that do it. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right. I think it's very unsafe. And I just think it's a great way to already show what we do is not real.
Right.
When the truth is what we do is real.
Right. Just delegitimizes what you guys are actually
Exactly.
doing.
It takes away from
Sacrifices.
the professionalism of it. And also, like, the sacrifices that we need to make. Most of us are working hurt. Most of us have rolled ankles. Most of us have weird injuries that we put off just to put on the show. We love this so much that we're sacrificing our bodies. We can only do this for so long.
Yeah.
There's a reason wrestlers aren't in their 60s and 70s, unless you're Ric Flair. But everybody else, by the time they're 50, they're done.
Yeah.
You know, this is legitimately a dangerous thing that we do, and there's only so many bumps your body can take.
It's incredible. I like Stone Cold. I remember watching a video where he literally pushed his head in.
Oh,
Like
the
you know, because of the infamous, what is it, the tombstone?
yeah, it was
I
the
forget who it
sit-out
was.
tombstone. It
Who was
was
it from Undertaker? Was it Kane?
no,
Somebody
it was-
somebody did it to him.
It was Hart. It was the Hart.
Oh, was it really? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
And-
it was
and
the
he-
one that passed away at the show.
Owen. It was Owen Hart.
Owen Hart. Yeah, it was a really big accident. So I can actually explain what happened there. So unfortunately, that move, it's very safe, but the issue with it is that you need to be doing it to somebody smaller than you. The person you're giving it needs to be bigger than the person receiving. Because if you're not, then they'll hit their head. But if Owen did it to me, I would be fine. Because my head wouldn't touch the mat. That's why they don't do sit-out pile drivers anymore. Right. You ever notice when Undertaker would do his, he does the knee one.
Yeah.
It's the only one that keeps the person safe. Pile drivers in general for WWE have been completely banned.
Yeah.
You know, they're big on AEW right now. People will do, and even on the indies. But, you know, it was a really crappy situation that ended up changing the way that he wrestled. Because I don't remember, like, the details of it, but he completely broke his neck. It's amazing that he can walk, you know, but he wrestled, and he became probably one of the most popular of all time after that incident.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, the heartbreak for me was that I felt like we lost so many potentially incredible experiences and matches because of that. He was out for a long time afterwards.
He was, and, you know, that's the thing. He did more wrestling before that, but then he had to change his style.
Right.
And, you know, but that's nothing out of the ordinary.
Right.
You know, people get injured, they change their styles. You know, I have no problem telling you, like, I know people that do it because, you know, a certain style, like the athletic jumping style, you can only do it for so long. Will Ospreay put another picture up.
Okay, yeah.
Probably the most incredibly athletic wrestler I have ever seen in my entire life. I have no problem telling you. He is incredible. On Twitter the other day, he said, listen, I don't think I can do this for much longer. He's only in his early 30s.
Wow.
And he said, I'm probably done soon. That's how much wear and tear has been on his body.
Physically intensive.
Exactly. And you can look up his matches later. You're going to see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all flips, all rolls, all crazy kick. It's incredible. He's the most athletic wrestler I've ever seen in my entire life, by far.
You know, you touched on an interesting point here. You know, many of your colleagues, including yourself, wrestle with injuries, you know. And this is not even, you're not even mentioning the injuries that are sustained during the match, right? And, you know, talk to the viewers about what it means to properly finish the match, because it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, there could be 101 reasons for you to stop, but But you
So
guys
that's the
don't-
thing. We never stop the match unless it's really serious.
Right, like a death or
You ever
like
notice they
near
throw
death.
up the X when it's a serious
Oh, really?
situation?
That's the industry. Okay.
So usually what'll happen after that, it'll be a really quick finish. So like the example I can give, I think it was the Owen Hart situation. He gave Owen Hart a schoolboy right after that, rolled him up. That was the end after they threw up the X. So I can tell you right now, like I've done matches, I've rolled my ankle. It's like, oh crap, like, all right, what am I gonna do? Stop the match for this? No, I can still wrestle, but afterwards, you go to the back, you tape it up, and you get going again. That's the thing. Working hurt, I can't pretend like I'm an expert at it. I've never gotten seriously hurt, knock on wood, thank God. The worst injury that I've so far accumulated was a concussion, but
That's bad. That's still bad.
yeah, but definitely not something you want. But well, those are different. Don't work with those. If you get a concussion, stay out. But at least for a month or two.
Right.
But like rolling an ankle, you're not gonna stop the match for that. You got to work through it. Especially if it's in the beginning of the match and you roll your ankle. What are you gonna do? Shorten your match just for that? There are ways to cover it up.
Yeah.
There are you're in constant communication with the guy that you're wrestling.
Right.
And you could tell them, hey, I rolled my ankle, dude. We got to figure out something else. And that's the beauty of working with somebody that's a pro. They'll find a way to cover it so that it looks like it never happened.
I do. Yeah, I've seen that before. Like sometimes I'll see like a whisper, or like I see the lips move, right? So that's probably some kind of a communication. Something happened, and they just trying to work around something. That's a high level of artisan there. Like there's a sense of art with
Pure professionalism.
yeah.
It's, I'll give you an example. Chris Jericho and Neville, I think his name was. It was some match, I think it was on Raw, and Neville really badly messed up his ankle. And Jericho immediately found a way to cover it.
Interesting. I gotta look this up.
Yeah, it's a great clip.
Yeah, I'll put the link in there.
You'll see it right there. Jericho found a way to cover it up so that it didn't look like Neville got hurt at all.
Interesting.
They had to end the match pretty quickly after that, but it was good. That's the thing about working with a pro like Jericho. He'll find a way to cover you and keep you safe.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, I could imagine spending $50, $60, $70, $80 for tickets to go see the show, my hard-earned money, and now somebody rolled an ankle and they had to stop the match. Or, somebody hurt, I don't know, jammed his finger and was like, I have to stop the match. Like, that would be,
Yeah, we don't do that.
yeah, like, even though I want to say, like, in anything else, maybe not like NBA or like, in any other profession, it's like, okay, you roll an ankle, you call out sick. You know what I mean? But then it's like, pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling,
it's
you're
something
working
different.
with it. It's, like I said, incredible. That's why I have an amazing amount of respect for the sport.
Same here.
It's unlike anything else in the world, in my opinion. Yeah. Because, if you have a legit wrestling match, like Olympic level wrestling, if you get hurt, you're done. But like with pro wrestling, you're finishing that match because those people came to see it. But that's also the origins of pro wrestling. Are you aware of what they are?
No.
So it really started at circuses.
Oh, interesting. Really?
Yeah. So like you'd have some giant guy, and then he would go up against a smaller guy, and the circus act would be about how the smaller guy would win. That's where it came from. That's where the term carny comes from.
Oh.
Which basically means like a promoter that's like cheap.
Right.
So carny is from that origin. That's where pro wrestling originally started. Circuses that were traveling around the United States. Lucha, the lucha style, I'm sure you've kind of seen it. It's more like flips and rolls and stuff. They do that on the concrete in the middle of the street. You can watch a video, I promise.
Yeah.
Put the link up there.
Yeah.
It's where you can see them like, let's say the traffic stop. They'll come and start wrestling in the middle of the street. Then the light will turn green, and then they'll step out.
Oh, interesting.
It's incredible. That's how you get started there.
Right.
Thankfully, we're in the United States where we have rings. And, but they have promotions there that are incredible as well. AAA, I think it's called. Definitely somewhere I'd like to work at some point in the future. But yeah, wrestling is fantastic. It's like I said, unlike anything I've ever seen. And that's why I think I fell in love with it.
I want to ask you, pre 2019,
Okay.
you were not interested in wrestling.
I didn't even know anything about it.
Right. And then, a catalyst happened in 2019. What you watched the match?
2021.
2020, you watched the match.
2021.
Oh, it was 2021 that you watched. I'm so sorry.
No,
2021.
that's
And you're like, a switch clicked. I gotta do this. I mean, would you say that this was always in your personality, that when I see something that I like, something that I feel strongly about, I'm gonna go and do it?
So that's where we'll definitely get into the backstory of it. So
Yeah.
prior to that, I had a whole different thing that I was doing. Like,
Okay.
right after high school, I ended up being an electrician's apprentice. And
Electrician's apprentice. Oh, okay.
yeah, that was not the greatest job. I did not work for the nicest guy. They were pretty mean at some points.
Oh, no.
And, that ended up causing some long-term damage emotionally. And
Sorry to
also,
hear that.
I appreciate it. And then also, I was still with my ex. So I was with my ex-girlfriend for almost 5 years. It started off in 2016. And we'll get into that. I was way too young for that. I was 15.
Right.
And I was in love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely caused a lot of damage too. I was way too young for that. And then what ended up happening is right around 2021, that's when the relationship started to fall apart. So I think almost in a way, what really happened for me was after I quit my job as the electrician, because I was just having enough of being mistreated.
Right.
And, I didn't like it anymore. Like, I lost the ability to want to learn and do stuff. I saw my relationship going downhill. I think I fell in love with wrestling almost as like a replacement for the stuff that was leaving my life. And what ended up happening was I remember talking to my ex about it, and I was like, oh, I think I want to be a wrestler. And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She was like, I don't think you can do it. And I'm like, wait, you don't think I can do it? And she was like, I don't think you can. And essentially I was like, well, screw that. I'm going to prove you wrong. And then, we broke up that summer, and I was pretty destroyed about it because it was a long-term relationship and I wasn't ready for it to end. And then I just fell in love with it. Ever since then, I was watching every day. I was getting ready. I was preparing. It's definitely difficult to talk about. That's definitely why I have this tattoo.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah,
Cycle
cycle
break.
breaker.
Oh,
So
that's who you are.
that's who I
Break
am
cycles.
outside of wrestling. This
Right.
is just for me, because
Yeah.
I noticed myself going in the same circles with stuff, like with my girlfriend, with the electrician job, with school, with all this. I was doing the same behavior and expecting different outcomes. So that's why essentially, like, I changed my life so quickly on the dime. And that's why I call myself a cycle breaker, because I feel as if I got through a very difficult portion of my life by the love of wrestling. And, I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Wow, that's an incredible story. It's like there's a lot of different iterations of what you just mentioned. I probably Albert Einstein didn't say this, probably, but like I think like that's one that I did hear of, where it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result.
Exactly.
Right?
And that was definitely a part of it. I was expecting things to get better, but if I was not changing the way that I was doing them, how were they going to get better? And how was I going to change my life? It's almost as if wrestling was like the thing I needed. It was almost like the catalyst to change my life for the better. And my life's been better ever since. I won't, like I said, that's why I have such a love for the industry and a respect for it. And that's why I'm very defensive of it too. And that's why I'll say till this day, Brian Myers and Pat Buck are the best trainers in the world. They gave me something that, completely changed everything. And, I plan to do this the rest of my life.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So your friend had mentioned the physicality that's
Yeah.
required. You started training hardcore into it. At what point did you say, I'm ready, I'm gonna join this school?
So that's interesting. So I really started pushing. It was January of 2022. Right after I had COVID, I was really pushing it. January, February, and March, I was going at it really strong. The only thing stopping me was I was in my semester of school.
Hunter College, you were in.
Yes,
Right.
Hunter College. So I thought to myself, I should probably wait until after this is over so that I can dedicate 100%. So in a way, that was a good thing because it got me ready. Because it's so funny that it took me 5 months to get there, but when I finally got there on my first day, I sucked. We were doing basic rolls. I learned how to bump. I was like, oh my god, this is tough. I thought I was gonna get in there and know everything. No.
It's like I watched enough wrestling.
I watched it on TV.
I should be okay.
I got
right?
this. No.
Yeah.
You're completely. It's different from anything I've ever done. I went for a week, and then I was like, wow, this is hard.
Give us an example, like something that happened that made you come to that.
Oh, that this is hard?
Yeah.
So something really simple that we did, it's called a headlock takeover. You grab them in a headlock, and then you post down, and then bring them over you.
Okay.
So I just wasn't getting it. It was my second week, and I could just remember I was trying to do it so hard, but then at the very end I ended up failing in front of everybody, and they weren't judging me, but I was judging myself so much. I'm like, this was so hard. I don't understand. I want to wrestle a whole match. How am I gonna if I can't do a simple headlock takeover? How am I gonna do that? But then I stayed after every day, 2 hours a day, and I got the extra help that I needed to fix the fundamentals that helped me get through it. It was definitely difficult. That was difficult for me. Bumping at first was difficult for me. I used to do the elbow thing because your brain is trying to
correct itself because you
almost
made assumptions.
so bumping is completely different from what you would do in real life if you actually fell.
Right.
So you're always going to tuck your head. That's a human instinct, but you're actually going to put your arms really high when you try to bump to try to alleviate anything from your neck. The truth is, when you bump, you want to do it flat and almost downward.
Like a break fall.
Exactly.
Right.
So it took a long time to break that in my head.
Yep.
It took forever for me to just move past that one piece. It was very difficult for me. But once I did, things started to piece together. And, slowly I started learning. I started to be able to do more advanced stuff. And then I was really lucky. 3 months in, I got into my first battle royale. It was Creative Pro Wildlife. Look that up if you get a chance.
So yeah, you joined, and then 3 months later. So you joined, and you started learning the techniques, and then 3 months later, you got into a battle royale.
Yes.
Was this in September? This was September 2022,
Yes, this was
right?
September of
This past-
2022.
Wow.
That was my first ever
Holy
thing
moly.
in front of people. It was the greatest experience. I loved it so much, but I got thrown out so fast.
So just for our viewers who don't watch wrestling, battle royale is when you get a ton of people.
20 people in the ring.
They just
start going at it.
the way I see it in WWE, they send it in one at a. You start with 2 people.
So that's a Royal Rumble.
And then okay.
So battle royale
Okay.
start with everybody in the ring.
Oh, they start with everybody in the ring. Holy moly!
And then it's a skirmish, and then people
chaos.
get thrown out. It was great. It was definitely an interesting experience. If you want to check out my Instagram, I do have pictures from that.
Yeah.
I could even send you a clip of it.
Yeah, I'll definitely add link here.
It was definitely, a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. It was incredible. It was an incredible experience. I'm still thankful to this day that they put me in. Thank you to Brian and thank you to Pat for giving me that opportunity, especially as early on as I was. Because, battle royale is simple, but just being in front of people. I can remember my parents were there, and I'm very happy that they went. And they were so my mom, she's very supportive. She's extremely supportive, but she's very terrified I'm gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
It torments her all the time.
Understandably, right?
My dad just doesn't get it, which is fine. He was like, you've been training for 3 months just to get thrown out, and I'm like, you got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
Like, and also, yeah, I got thrown out. Like, that's part of wrestling. You're gonna take some crappy losses.
Yeah. Everybody does, right?
Everybody does somehow.
Exactly. I remember like the Rock in the beginning, like before he was the Rock.
Oh, Die Rocky Die.
I don't remember, but
Yeah, when he first showed up, everybody hated him.
yeah, he looked right. Yes, right, and like he looked nothing like how he looked like now, and I think there is an evolutionary point, like internally and of course externally when the more you perform, the more you kind of find yourself, right?
Exactly.
So it's like these are great moments, like that I'm so happy for you. Like,
Oh, thank
but
you.
but I
I
haven't
got-
had.
I gotta give it to my trainers.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm gonna give them their credit real quick.
Of course.
Brian Myers, Pat Buck, like I said, the greatest wrestling minds in the world. They trained Max Caster, MJF, Chris Statlander, all incredible people. The guy that really has helped me tone my craft was Joe Fitzpatrick, Bear Bronson, and also Evil Kip Stevens and Bill Cochran. Those are the guys that train me all the time, and I gotta give them their credit for that. Everything I do from this point on, it's because of them. They have been the ones that pushed me and challenged me the way that I needed.
Yeah. Have you ever had a moment where you thought to yourself, "Hey, maybe this isn't for me"?
Yeah.
Do you have any, advice on anybody, our viewers that may be going through that as well? How to stay committed and focused?
So I've had days where I've not done well in training, and then I question I don't know if this is for me. The big thing that changed it for me was how fast those thoughts go away. Because the thing is that you can, for me, if I have that feeling, it takes less than an hour for that to go away, and then I'll be thinking back to wrestling. So, but that's just me. The best advice I can give is if this is your dream, if this is what you really want to do, your body and your mind's not going to let you quit. If this is the thing that's for you, just with anything in life, not even pro wrestling. If you want to be a teacher and let's say you had a really bad day as a teacher and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. If you're meant to be a teacher, you're going to be a teacher. The way that I think about it, and this is what's gotten me through really crappy days, was you can't take it personally. Your trainers are not being mean to you because they dislike you. It's just, they're your trainers.
They're supposed to give you.
They gotta push you.
Yeah,
they gotta
give you criticism.
They gotta give you criticism.
Better,
they have to be better. It's the truth, One thing that really helped me get through it at first, because I wasn't good at criticism, was before every sentence. So let's say Nick, you sucked at this. Well, the way I changed it was you sucked at this as a wrestler. So it's not personal. You can't take it personal. They don't want to demean you personally.
Yeah.
It's just you sucked at that as a wrestler.
Yeah, right.
So think about it like that too.
Yes.
So as a teacher, you sucked at this as a teacher. Yeah. You sucked at this as a police officer. It's not personal. So don't take it personally.
It's very deep, actually, what you just said, because it's maybe that's a problem that a lot of people have. They take things so personally, but then in reality, it's kind of hard to really have somebody attack somebody personally.
Listen,
right? Even your trainers, they train you and they know you in a training standpoint.
Exactly.
They don't know Nick personally.
They don't know me.
They didn't watch you grow up,
one or two of them, they're good friends with me.
Sure.
The thing is that what they're saying isn't personal.
Right.
The thing is, they're friends outside of there. But when we go in the ring and when we start, they're the trainers.
Right.
There is a line.
Sure.
And you have to respect that.
Yeah.
And that is huge when it comes to wrestling.
Right.
There is a line. They're not your friends, they're your teachers. They are your coaches. They're the people that are giving you the ability to feed your family.
Yeah.
That is why, I don't take it personally anymore.
And you know what? Maybe that even makes what they say have more gravity.
It does.
Because they know you at somewhat of a personal level because they're your friends outside. Because they're your friends, right? They want you.
They
get
want you to
better,
succeed.
To succeed. So what they're telling you is not necessarily to, crush you internally.
It's not to
but
crush your feelings.
Exactly. But
They want you to be better.
Exactly.
And that's a big thing that for some reason people just don't get.
Yeah.
People get so offended and they don't focus on the actual criticism. It's like, okay, you're offended here. Did you take anything away from what was just told to you? That's the big thing. Like, criticism, yeah, it sucks. Nobody likes criticism. But how are you going to grow if everybody's just like, oh yeah, good job, even though it's not a good job? Then you're just going to do that wrong thing wrong for the rest of your life.
Wow. That's another mic drop moment right there too, right? Because
It's really simple advice, but like, I have found that has changed the way that I think about everything.
yeah. You know what it is though? It's simple, but then at the same time it's not easy.
It's not easy to not take things personally.
Right.
Because it's a human condition.
Yeah.
We all internalize the things that we're told. So that's why, I have no problem admitting, I still get offended from some stuff, but it takes me 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He meant it as this. Never mind.
Right. You're human,
We're human beings.
Exactly.
It's not easy to not take things personally, but try not to. Because I promise you, it's not as deep as you're thinking. They're not saying you suck at this thing because they hate you. It's not the truth. They don't want everybody. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I always try to assume that people have decent intentions.
Yeah.
When I'm at wrestling, right, they have good intentions. They want me to be better. So they're not saying I suck or that I'm an idiot or that I'm doing something wrong. They're saying it because they want me to be better. Or they'll say it because it's unsafe. That's the other thing.
That's big.
Safety is a big thing. That's why we need to minimize the risk. If you're not doing something safely, you're going to get called out for it.
Yeah.
And I respect that because doing things unsafely in wrestling is a great way to get injured.
And ending a career, right?
You can end a career right there.
Yeah. It's so you had your first match.
Yes.
And so how afterwards, how did the scheduling look? Did they give you more matches? Like were you still booked in the weekend?
I'm still in the early stages of training right now. I'm just starting to branch out with other companies and other promotions to kind of start to learn the indies a little bit. Right. I've only been in battle royales with Cap, but the truth is that they know when you're ready. So they decide when to put you on the show.
Is that how the industry works? You have your trainer, that kind of like a manager, and you kind of.
It's more or less just a school thing with school shows, and I respect it deeply because I know for a fact there's still stuff I mess up, and I want to make my trainers look as good as possible. So I understand why they wait a decent amount of time to put you on the shows, or even why they might not put you on because of a specific reason. I get it. But when the day comes when I'm ready to be on Creative Pro shows, I'm going to jump on that opportunity. Just now, though, I'm starting to branch out with other small promotions, trying to get my name out there a little bit.
Yeah.
And, some of my coaches seem to think it's about time.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm starting. Right after today, I'm headed to OW.
Yeah, nice. Well, of course, I wish you the best with that. And, I think it's an amazing journey that you're on, and it's so pure because there is nothing easy about what you're doing, and this is all really on the foundation of pursuing your dreams and your goals. I have to ask you, would you say that your cycle breaker mentality, would you say that's the foundation that helped you get you to where you are today? It sounded like it helped get you into wrestling, but would you say that's something that you still carry with you, whether it's learning a technique, would you say that's your secret sauce, you being a cycle breaker? I'm sure there's many things to it.
My secret sauce to everything in life now is just go in with an open heart. And be ready to accept whatever it is you're getting. And that's why I go into everything with an open mind. Same thing with wrestling. You know, I have no problem telling you I'm still afraid to do certain moves, but I try them. You can't be afraid to try. That's the big thing. Like, yeah, I would say my secret sauce to life is definitely the cycle breaker thing, because I learned, like, you need to not just do the same thing over and over again. You need to grow. Because if you're not growing, you're going to be stagnant, and that's where I think that's the reason people are miserable.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that people aren't happy with their life. Like, don't be afraid to change your life if you think it'll make you happy. Yeah. Like, the big thing for me was, like, don't give a crap what anybody says, because there were so many people that said, don't be a wrestler. It's unsafe. You're not going to be treated well. This. Don't listen to them. If you think what you're doing is right, do what's best for you. Because, in my opinion, nobody is going to take care of you but you.
Yeah. 100%.
And if you don't learn how to be happy with yourself, how are you going to be happy with anything else? How are you going to be happy raising children, or having a wife, or being the leader, or being president, or anything? Be happy with yourself.
Be real in a way.
Be
right?
real. Be real and be
yourself,
happy with yourself. If you want to be a wrestler, go be a wrestler. Nothing's stopping you. The only thing stopping you is you. Nobody is stopping you. Big example, Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh, yeah.
He was in his 30s when he became a wrestler. His 30s. That was like taboo at the time. He changed the dynamic. Anybody can be a wrestler. But I feel like anybody can do anything as long as they want to do it. I know that seems kind of cliche and cheesy, but it's the truth. Like, I've never been in a situation in my life where I have never thought that I can't do something. And that was like the big cycle breaker mentality, because I just decided, like, all right, it's time to change. And that is a big part of just who I am.
Wow.
Change.
Oh, man. My brother Nick, I don't know how to better end it with that mic drop moment right there, you know. Nick, I'm going to link and share your information. Instagram, follow him on Instagram.
Thank you.
Amazing human being. Facebook, you know, awesome guy. I'll put in the links of the if you have any video clips, I'll definitely put that up as well. And Nick, you know, on behalf of Secret Sauce with Hamilton Lau, it's been an absolute honor to have a person of your caliber on the show. I am super...
I don't know a person of my caliber.
But
I'm
hey,
pretty much a nobody.
I respect people that are real with themselves and are doing things that they want to do. It's in our culture, I feel like nowadays there's just so many people that just give in to, you know.
They just do what they have to do, not what they want to do.
Right, they do what they're told. They're not doing what they want to do to live a happy life. Exactly. And again, consistent with all the guests that are on the show. But it's an honor, Nick. Thank you so much,
Thank
Tristan.
you so much for having me.
I appreciate
it. Oh, and it's Tristan.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Tristan. This episode is brought to you by Jing's Mortgage Team. Jing's Mortgage Team is a team of real estate mortgage professionals whose mission is to help anyone with their real estate needs. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, refinance your home, have credit issues, or in need of an investment loan, we can definitely help you. If you're looking for a real estate agent, we know the best of the best real estate agents. Visit the link below for more information.